I'm Nitya Balasubramanian, and today I have the pleasure of meeting two very successful food bloggers, Hetal Jannu and Anuja Balasubramanian. You might know them as the creative minds behind the widely popular food website showmethecurry.com. They started this website way back in 2007 with a single point agenda: to simplify Indian cooking for the masses. Today, the website has a following of over 300,000 viewers and subscribers and has a well-curated library of over 600 videos on a variety of recipes. They're a bit of a celebrity in their own right. They have appeared on TV and featured in magazines such as Forbes, USA Today, Better Homes and Gardens, just to name a few. The website experienced a bit of a pause, but the good news is that the duo are back in business with a bang. And I am getting all the delicious scoop on the website, food blogging, the money and power it brings, the people behind it, and that's not all. Hetal and Anuja are going to be showing us how to make their velvety sweet potato coconut soup that they've put together just for this show. So I cannot wait to taste the soup, and so let's get started. So Hetal and Anuja have a very delicious dish in store for us. They're going to be showing us how to make their velvety sweet potato coconut soup. Doesn't that sound delicious? Let's get started. Anuja and Hetal, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us. Thank you.
So I have to start by saying that I'm a big fan of your work, and I have been following you guys right from the beginning. And when I think about it, I wasn't even cooking at that time. I just so enjoyed watching you guys cook, and it was so well put together, your videos. And at that time, I'm talking about 12 years ago, it seemed like all roads led to showmethecurry.com. You would go to Google and do a recipe search, and showmethecurry.com would come up invariably. So tell me, what led you to start a food website? What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, it was the right time. We were younger moms actually, and the younger kids were off to school. So we had this, void of time that we wanted to put to good use, and just wanted to do something creative with that. And the other thing was that we realized that there were friends that we had and people that we knew that were not living with their parents anymore. They were living here in the US, and they had not really learned to cook back in India or from their parents over here. So, it was just something that came a little naturally to us, primarily because we were constantly giving people recipes and helping them out. So I think that was the biggest thing.
And also I'd like to add that whenever you ask your mom or your aunt or a friend or anybody for a recipe, they have no way to really tell you. They will say, add a pinch of this or add just enough water. But somebody who does not know how to cook, what is a pinch or what is just a little bit or what is as needed, it's very difficult. So we thought, if we're going to give a recipe, it's going to be perfect. And if somebody follows that recipe, they will end up with a product that we would like them to have or they're expecting.
No guesswork.
Yes. I have to say that you guys have been doing a wonderful job of it. Your recipes work. Thank you. So how did the two of you meet?
Well, I met Anuja because her husband and I, and my husband, we all went to the same university. And so we knew him, and when he met her, it was just natural we met her. and we have a big group.
She was the fourth
Yes, we have a big group of friends, and it's almost like family now. So
right. And I also have to ask you, what made you start doing videos? Because at that time there were just a handful of food bloggers, and most of it was written material. Having videos was really unheard of. Right. So what made you do that? I think That was a master stroke, and it put you ahead of the curve right off the bat.
Well, thank you. I think I would have to give that credit to my husband.
Yes.
He's the one who even mentioned it, and both of us were like, oh, you know what? So, and I don't know why. I don't know why he thought that we should do this, but he knows that we both enjoy cooking, and we just love it. It's our passion. And we come from a corporate background, and after our kids we took time off for our kids, and after the kids are self-sufficient, it's hard to get back into the corporate world, but yet you still want to do something that's meaningful, that's going to help people, and at the end of the day is satisfactory for us.
So you guys started with the agenda of giving out recipes to your friends and to making it easier for people to access Indian recipes. But your website today is so much more than that. There is a whole lot of information on foods. It's outside of Indian cooking. So can you walk us through what your website is all about today and what we can expect going forward?
So actually, when we started, like you said, we started with primarily Indian food, simplifying it for today's world, for today's family, and a lot more for people that are outside their country. But we have noticed that we do have a lot of viewers in India and all over the world. But then, when we got more and more into it, we realized that we also have a lot of Indians over here who want to make food other than Indian food. So they go out to a restaurant and they have, say, Mexican food, and then they want to come home and they want to recreate it, but with a little bit of, a little bit more for their own palate, right? So, so we started going into that avenue and started showing them Italian, Mexican, Chinese, all kinds of those kind of cuisine. And then we also started off on tips, because in a lot of our videos when we are showing a recipe, we have tips. But then there are some tips that we don't really think of, you just need them, but it doesn't really come into the whole cooking category. So we started going into the Tip Tuesday category of the whole thing. So we started a whole segment on Tip Tuesday. So that's actually doing really well.
And of course, something that we are accustomed to doing, we don't even consider it as a tip, because that's just how we do things. Right. To you, it might be, wow, eye-opening, I didn't know this. Exactly. And so we do tend to show a lot of these things within our videos, but they get buried in a recipe. So if you're not looking for that particular recipe, you will never come across that tip. So that was the reason we started that tip section.
Yeah, and we actually have viewers from in all kinds of range of their cooking skills, are right from beginners to, people who cook every day, know how to cook, but they just want to do something a little different. So we kind of cater to all kinds of range, that way, audience, so that nobody feels left out and nobody feels like, oh, this is just too simple, or, I know how to do everything.
Right. So, yes. You want to cover it all.
Correct.
Yeah. So what can we expect from showmethecurry.com in the coming months?
Well, we'd like to kind of keep it a surprise. We do have a few different things coming up, and we're trying to, like you said, we've taken a little bit of a pause, and things have changed a lot, but we want to kind of also move ahead with times and keep, some things different, but some things that are our signature same. Right. So
just put a little fresh spin.
Right. So how do you keep yourself updated? What's your inspiration for the recipes that you put up? I'm sure some of it you've got from friends, from relatives. Do you also do recipe development? Do you guys get together and just have fun with food and say, hey, this works, let's...
Actually, that is a big part of what we do. We our whole focus is that the recipe should work, and the recipe should taste good, and it should look good, and it should come out as we want it. So that doesn't happen just overnight. Right. So there are times where we'll come together, we'll experiment with a dish, and give it to our friends, give it to our families, let them try it, and a lot of times it's very good, and some of the times it's not, and we appreciate honest feedback, because with that feedback we go back, we tweak it, and we come back with it. So there's sometimes like 3-4 times we try recipes over and over and over until we perfect it, and then only we show it to the public.
Yeah, and trust me, there are times when our families have rolled their eyes, especially the kids, and they're like, oh no, not again, and because they've had the same food, different variations, and and sometimes they're not really in tune with what are the nuances that we are looking for.
Right.
But we're like, okay, can you taste this? Okay, can you do this? Can you tell us this? What's the difference between this and this? We're like, oh, okay, but it's all good. It's all fun, and you're working with a friend, and what can be more fun than that?
Yeah. I think personally a big part of the reason your videos are so successful are the faces behind the camera, the two of you. I think you guys share an amazing on-screen chemistry and camaraderie. It is so fun to watch you guys cook, and you pick up from where she, it's really a lot of fun. So what's the secret behind it? Do you guys practice? Do you just get each other so well, or how does it work?
As much as we practice with the recipe, we do not, nothing is scripted.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever scripted. We turn the camera on and we go. But I think it's like an old married couple. We've been together for so long that I think we just end up finishing each other's.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And
So we actually, going back to one of your questions, we actually met each other in 92. So that's how long we've known each other. And I think there's very, very few people that I was just telling her the other day that I would let in my kitchen and not have to look over their shoulders. Over time, I think we've just become, and she's, so basically she's the only one I can say, okay, just do that, and I can just carry on doing my other stuff. And I think it's vice versa also.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But I think also it is, we are different. We have very different personalities, but we kind of just, again, complement each other. So I think that kind of helps a lot.
And I think it's our shared passion for food
Yes.
in general. From the beginning of time, like I said, my husband initially, he saw both of us, and he realized that we both enjoy each other's company, the food, to entertain.
Right.
And we were both at the same point in time. In our lives.
Right.
So
Yes.
I think it's kind of worked.
So what are your favorite foods?
I think I go through like phases where, there's times when I like Thai, I've liked Thai, I've loved, I lived in India, and so we traveled a lot. I loved Asian food because we traveled a lot over there, and I got to taste more stuff over there. So right now I think it's somewhere between Vietnamese and Korean.
So we can expect to see a lot of Vietnamese and Korean recipes then.
For me, I love chaat. That's, if I'm talking about Indian food, chaat is my all-time favorite, any kind of chaat. And non-Indian, it would have to be Thai.
Okay.
Food.
So I actually want to back up a little bit and go back to the beginnings. So I want to try and get a sense of what it takes to set up a food website like the one you guys have. It's very nicely done, professionally put together. So what did it take to bring it to where it is today? How did you guys start off, and what have you done along the way to kind of, help the website grow?
So the start, I can tell you that we ran to our local hardware store and we picked up shop lights. That was our first
Construction lights.
Construction, like glare. And we had our camcorder, like we take on family trips. So we had one camcorder, we had those big shop lights, and we thought we were.
Oh, and we had our husbands film us.
Yeah, the first video, our husbands, they
They
kind of
filmed us.
snickering in the background. It was very nerve-wracking.
Yes.
But somehow we did it.
Yes.
We did it. We put that first video out.
Do you
and
remember what it was?
Of course we do. It was Maharashtrian varan.
Yes.
That was, it's like a dal, regular, like a very simple home-style dal. And it was just something very simple to make. And I'm not even sure why we started with that one, but just because it was simple and we just did it. We put out the first video. We were so proud of ourselves, extremely proud because, we did this.
Yeah.
And
That was your first baby.
we put it out on YouTube, and believe it or not, we got great response. We got comments like,
Yeah.
wow, you know.
Majority.
Make more. But at that time.
Yeah,
at
that time, yes.
Make more videos. And we're like, wow, you know, this is interesting, you know, because you
didn't expect that.
We're not expecting. We're sitting in our kitchens here in Frisco, Texas, and we're getting viewers from across the world, you know, seeing what we're doing. And it was just like,
Hi.
it's a high.
Yeah.
It's not even explainable.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you know, this is great. Now, fast forward and we go back and look at that first video, we cannot see it, you know, it's that bad.
It's cringeworthy.
It's cringeworthy. Yeah, we cannot even like finish watching a minute of it. But that's where we started.
So, you know, just a couple of months back, we actually we revisited Varun again. So we did put up a little bit of snippets of the original one, but you know, we just thought it'd be funny because you know how we've come along 12 years, and we have moved from there we've come here. So we kind of did a different version of Varun. I mean, same recipe, same everything, but we did it. So you should go check it out. But it's pretty interesting to.
I'm going to go check out the first video first.
Don't call us out. But yeah, so we did send out the first video to our friends, ask them for their honest feedback. So that was really, I think, a big high for us, and it made us, feel like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah.
So gave us a little more, encouragement.
I know. So you guys have been blogging for a really long time, like part of the original food bloggers, almost like grandmothers of food blogging or something, because I probably think of first generation food bloggers. I'm probably way down the line. So I want to get a sense of how the landscape of food blogging has changed from the time you guys started to now. Can you give me a sense of what it was and what it is like now?
So to reiterate what you just said, called us grandmothers, but
sorry, I didn't mean to do
no,
that.
it's funny because just a couple of weeks ago we got a comment in our YouTube video saying, oh, you know what, I love you too, and I've been watching you since I was a kid, and now I'm in college. So it kind of was like, whoa. Yes, but I mean, of course, our kids have grown up a lot, but it just kind of put everything in perspective for us, and just made us realize, yes, we've been doing this for a very, very long time. But going back to your question, food blogging has changed tremendously, and it's all for the better. There's lots more bloggers, there's lots more YouTubers, and some of them are phenomenal.
Right.
And I think there's plenty of room for everybody.
Right.
Everybody. Because, there's not one recipe for even, say, sambar. There's like a gazillion recipes.
And gazillion types of sambars.
Yes. Every family has their own little, the way they do it.
Yeah.
And
Twist on it.
And it's just so beautiful. So I think, but going back to your question, food blogging has changed tremendously, and it's all for the better. There's lots more bloggers, there's lots more YouTubers, and some of them are phenomenal. Right. And I think there's plenty of room for everybody. Right. Everybody. Because, there's not one recipe for even, say, sambar. There's like a gazillion recipes. Every family...
Gazillion types of sambar.
Yes.
Exactly.
Every family has their own little, the way they do it. Yeah. And twist on it. And it's just so beautiful. So I think the more the merrier, honestly. So I think it's come a long way, and I just love the changes. And I think we're just ready to get back on it and keep moving with the times.
So with this explosion of food bloggers, how has that changed things for you? Do you continue doing things the way you used to do, or do you think you'll have to revamp yourself or evolve along with the change?
I think there's different ways to look at it. When we started, we have a format of our show where we explain everything in detail. And I think there's a segment of the population that appreciates that, because we're not just telling you to do something, we're telling you why you should do it. And that's the process of learning, right? It's like in school, you can either memorize it or you can learn it, and then knowing what you learn, it's going to stay with you a lot longer. So that's always been our format, is we explain things in detail. And like you said, things have changed now, so you come up with the 30-second fast-forward videos, which are really great. I mean, they're entertaining, they're fun to watch, but maybe some people want that kind of video, and some people still, who are learning, still want our kind of video. So I think we're going to stick with that format, at least because we know that, you know, it's valuable.
It's working for you.
It's working and it's valuable, and it's information that people who really want to know.
Right. You still have takers for a 7-minute video.
Exactly.
Right.
True. And you know, the 30-second fast-forwarded videos are fun to watch, and people still watch them. But you know, at the end of the day,
you guys are going to stick to what you're doing. You feel that is a format that would work too.
Yeah, I think that's our signature, number one. And I think we bring a lot of personality to our videos, which is, I think, very, you know, it's for us, it works for us. And, you know, we love those 30-minute videos also, 30-second videos, sorry.
Right.
But, you know, I think this is what's working for us.
Right.
And unless we get something, you know, some other feedback and people say otherwise, I think we're going to be happy with what we have.
Okay. So, you know, with food blogging comes a lot of power, and I guess you guys would be considered as food influencers. So I'm sure there are a lot of food bloggers or people toying with the idea of wanting to start a food website. So how lucrative is food blogging, and what kind of power comes with it? Do you think it changes anything, changes things for you personally, or are you considered as, do people look up to you to, you know, teach them how to eat healthy or cook the food the right way? Is that something that you've seen in your journey as food bloggers, or is it just you telling people this is how you cook and them saying thank you? Or do you feel like you wield, you know, greater power and influence than just teaching people how to cook?
I think we do influence people, especially in the kitchen, in terms of what kind of pots and pans we use, what kind of gadgets we use, because people are always in the market for things like that. As far as recipes go and the health aspect of the recipes, yes, there's a certain responsibility you have to your viewers, but at the same time, if you want to bake a birthday cake for your child, you're not necessarily going to look for a healthy birthday cake.
Right.
You know, for that one little instance, you're going to want all the sugar and all the fat and everything that comes along with that birthday cake. You're still going to want that. So to say that you have a responsibility to your viewers to only show healthy foods, I don't necessarily agree with that. You know, you can have a small agenda or a small...
You guys do have a separate segment on healthy recipes.
We do.
And you do have a lot of the other regular
stuff. At the end
stuff.
of the day, you know, everybody has a different need at a different time in their lives
Right.
on what they need. So it's okay to show everything, and then your viewers will just have to pick and choose what fits.
So going back to the second question that I asked, how lucrative is food blogging?
Well, I think it's good. We're still here.
So I think, you know, we started at a time where the YouTube rules and the monetization and everything was a little different, and we kind of got a head start on that. It has changed dramatically over the time period. If you start right now, I would say it takes you a long time. You have to have a certain number of watch hours, you have to have a certain number of viewers before you can even start monetizing.
Right.
So for somebody starting off just right now, it's not easy. I would like to mention that it's going to take some time and consistent, you know, effort, putting videos out there to make money. We started at a point where we were almost the only ones, and we kind of got into the door, which is, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
And it is lucrative. You know, it is lucrative. Again, it's all about how consistently you're posting videos and how many watch hours you get and watch minutes and views and things like that. And it just exponentially grows. So it can be a lucrative business. And we both, you know, we both treat it as a business and our jobs.
Right.
And we feel like we're doing pretty good at it.
So I'm not going to ask you for a figure or anything, but do you think somebody who wants to get into food blogging, do you think they can, and doing really well, let's assume that they do well, do you think they could live off of the income that they make from food blogging?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes. I mean, you got to, again, give it the respect, give your viewers the respect, because ultimately there's so much competition out there. Right. So if you do your part, there's nothing stopping you.
Right.
And so it's, again, going back to it, it's absolutely, it's not easy, but it's definitely doable.
Right, so the pie is pretty big.
Absolutely, yes. The more, I mean, I don't think anybody who wants to make a particular recipe, they're going to watch at least 2-3 recipes and then figure out which one will work for them. They're not just going to go to one. So, which is totally fair. So, you know, given that, you know, there's so much competition, but yet there's something for everybody.
What advice would you give to upcoming food bloggers?
I think I mentioned it in the previous one. Treat it like a business. Give it the respect. Give your viewers the respect. And, you know, it's, I think that is the biggest thing. I mean, it's very easy. You're competing with a lot of people who just pick up a camera, go into the kitchen and do it.
Right.
So if you give it the honor it's due and the respect that it's due, I think it's doable.
And by treating it like a business, as she says, it means treat it like your job. Right. We get.
So how hard is it? How many hours do you guys put in on a weekly basis?
When we're filming, we get up in the morning. Our kids go off to school. We gather, and then we start. We film from say 8:30 in the morning all the way till 4:30. You know, it's like a full day, and then that's just the filming portion of it. So we break up our week where 2 days a week we're filming, and then the other 3 days we're editing and doing other
social media
questions.
and admin stuff and all that stuff. So,
we do.
So yeah,
it takes our time. It takes our
does.
full day's worth of time.
Right. Yeah.
And then also treating it like a business means be consistent. So don't just drop off the face of the earth, you know, and then, you know, post once in a while or something like that. Because if you want to, you know, if you want to gather the subscribers and for people to actually remember you and kind of look forward to your next video or whatnot.
Got to be consistent. Yeah. So is there a cookbook in the pipeline? Can we expect a Show Me the Curry cookbook sometime in the stands?
Well, I think that goes against the whole show me the curry because we're all about showing, you know, and we'll never say never.
Yeah.
But you know, it kind of.
But having said that, we did collaborate with a doctor, and he was from Houston. And what we did was he had a certain agenda where he was trying to promote like legumes and all the dals and grains. Why we should particularly eat certain things. So for him, we kind of did a few recipes to go with his thinking. So we did have that. So we collaborated with him. I think it came out. It's on Amazon, and it did.
What's the name of the? Is it a book?
It's a book, The Healthy Indian Diet.
Yes.
So talking about healthy eating, so there are a lot of food trends mushrooming, and a lot of people are having a tough time figuring out what's good for them. So do you guys, what do you think of these trends, and do you guys subscribe to any of these diets?
I think basically there's not one diet or one lifestyle or one style of eating for everybody. There's no tailor-made, you know, cookie cutter thing for everybody. Yeah.